There are two subjects when brought up in discussion that I believe to be in very poor taste. No, I do not mean politics and religion, although they are virtual minefields, to be sure. No, the topics to which I refer are money and death. One should never talk about money in polite company. And although I really do hate the topic of religion, or worse, spirituality, whatever that is, the talk of money and spirituality always come up in church. I hate that. Always ask to give of our time and of our talent, of course. But what they really mean to say is give of your treasure. Let's be honest. We all know it. Case in point. Back in the dog days of summer, late August, I think it was, we had a guest sermon at St. Aidan's Episcopal Church, where I am a member. That's another thing I hate. A guest sermon just means that the priest is too lazy to carve out his own sermon. Or that somebody needs to make a case for a cause. We must be made aware of the cause, made to feel guilty. So we'll give money. Giving will always make us feel better, we are promised. Doesn't make me feel better. Annoyed is closer to the mark. Anyway, our guest speaker was a tall, soft-spoken man who introduced us to ABODE, contemplative care for the dying. So here we had it. Everything I hate, every topic I hate to speak of, money, spirituality, and death in church. I'm sure he would have slipped in politics if given the green light. Looked to be a liberal to me. Anyway, ABODE, contemplative care for the dying, is a place, apparently. A place recently purchased, an old run-down house on an acre of land, all overgrown, both in need of major work, the house and the land. This location will soon become a home away from home for the dying. Well, I thought, why go to all the trouble of fixing it up then? If people are going to go to that place to die, what do they care what it looks like? Perfect example of throwing our good money away, if you ask me. I thought. Then our unrelentingly cheerful adolescent vicar, beams as he invites all of us to contribute generously to the cause of ABODE. I thought, this is dreadful. ABODE, a loving, welcoming place to come to and die. Not to come to and visit, no, to come to and die. That's also so unnecessary. I thought, if you are beyond the pale and thinking of dying, go to a hospital. That's what they're there for. And what does our young vicar know about the end of life anyway? I thought, he's barely past puberty. I mean, if anyone should know about death, it's me. Or my best friend Vivian, who is very shaky on her feet. She could fall at any moment, break a hip, and that would be the end of it. Or my cousin Olivia, her heart should have given out long ago. Or her husband, Gerald. He's been a chain smoker since the age of 10. Still smoking like a chimney and healthy as a horse. There is no justice in this world. Case in point. My dear late husband, Leo, was a smoker. 3 packs a day. Then, out of the blue, Leo decided to quit, and he took up jogging. He'd jog every morning all around the neighborhood, come home all red-faced and winded. I worried about being a widow for the first time in my life when Leo took up jogging. As it turned out, none of it worked. One morning, after a run, Leo collapsed on the linoleum. Ambulance took him away. I followed in the Buick. It was an aneurysm of the aorta, a rusty pipe. The doctor said all those years of smoking, the damage had been done. They said Leo was a time bomb waiting to explode. He survived heart surgery, but his last few months were spent in hospital, hooked up to all sorts of tubes and monitors and a breathing machine. He was miserable. Not so much in pain, thank God for chemistry, but the place smelled of rubbing alcohol and cleaning agents and the sounds of gurney wheels and beeping monitors and the constant announcements. It was all so public and sterile. We were never alone. We were never just the 2 of us. I'd sit next to his bed in a chair designed for physical torture. But we couldn't talk to each other privately. And never again did we feel at home. My grandparents both died at home, in their bed. Mother said their passing was peaceful. That is not the word I would use for Leo's passing. There we were, surrounded by every advancement of modern technology and medicine. Everything had been explored and exhausted, and his last words to me he scribbled on a scrap of paper. Let me go. Since my grandparents' day, we have come a long way, of course, but all the same, I wish Leo could have been at home, but that wasn't possible. I couldn't have cared for him. But I have wondered if there is another way. It's a regret I have, you see. It's a longing, I suppose, that I could have somehow given Leo a peaceful passage. I don't know. Forgive me. I have just stumbled onto a topic I hate to discuss. For months after Leo's death, I had the same dream almost every night. I'd be visiting a place in the country, walking up a path to a modest dwelling, more of a cottage than a house, surrounded by trees, oak, I think they were, yes, oak trees. The lawn was green, and a stone walk led me to the porch. The little house, or cottage, was white, and the windows were always open, lace curtains gently blowing in the breeze. In my dream, I'd enter the front door, and I could smell coffee and blueberry muffins, Leo's favorite. And there'd be music playing on an old radio. an old familiar tune. The sofa in the front room of this little cottage looked so comfy that I often thought of just sitting there, savoring a cup of coffee, listening to the music. But every time, in my dream, I'd walk from the front door directly down the hallway to one of the bedrooms. A woman would greet me. I can't recall her face, but her eyes caught the light. She'd squeeze my hand and then disappear. The bedroom was out of a storybook. A bed, a quilt, a comfortable easy chair, and an antique dresser with an old fuzzy mirror, just like the one I inherited from my grandmother's house. That dresser and all the old furniture we stored away years ago. I'd forgotten about that. Anyway, in my dream, I'd always go to that dresser and check my hair in the mirror. And in the mirror, I'd see the bed behind me. And in it, someone sleeping there. Then I'd turn around, and I'd see that it was Leo. At this point, my dream would vary. Sometimes I'd settle into the chair beside the bed and watch him sleep. But most of the time, I'd slip into the bed with Leo and stretch out beside him, so warm under the quilt. He'd smile, and I'd want to linger there forever, knowing that I had to go. But I wouldn't go. I wouldn't go. I wouldn't. I'd stay, closing my eyes tighter still, and then he'd always say in a way that I can remember to this day, "Let me go." At this point in my dream, I'd slip out of the bed and place the quilt neatly over his broad chest. He'd smile up at me, and I'd lean down to kiss him. And I'd kiss his cheek, and I'd smell his neck and his hair, and I'd wake up gasping for breath, gasping for the scent of him. And those blueberry muffins. It was a lovely dream of a lovely place that would have been like home, I suppose, for Leo and for me to let go. I yearned that it could have been so. And in that liminal space of time between sleeping and waking, I'd wonder if such a place was even possible. But of course it wasn't, isn't possible. Such is the stuff of dreams. Somewhere over the rainbow.